Success consists of getting up just one more time than you fall. Oliver Goldsmith. And folks, that is what it is all about in learning how to read these charts. You continue to get up when you make a mistake, you learn from that mistake, and you keep charging forward. That is why we talk to you constantly about practice trading, spending 10 to 15 minutes with us every single day, charting these markets, learning the nuances so that when the time comes in the future, you can do this for real, combine what you learn here, everywhere else, the books you read, the experiments you engage in. You're going to find your own way to do this, and we want to give you all the help that we can. So practice trade as often as you can. Do you know what you are learning about what's going on right now? This is a crazy market. There is extreme volatility, and I want you to practice it. See what's going on. Be involved. Don't throw your hands up and say, there's no way to figure out what's going on. Of course there is. And again, we are going to continue to watch, and you will see how things end up shaking out. The market does calm down. There are weekly vertical crossovers. There are ways to follow these charts and have them lead you in the right direction. And make sure that you are filling out your daily market worksheets, that you're filling out your trade worksheets, that you are keeping your stock trader's Bible, your almanac, your journal, where you have all your notes from all your learning with what's going on. When you have world crises like this, things that go on, the market is going to go all over the place, and that's fine. What do you learn about those things? We'll talk about them as we go through these charts. We see gold and stocks up. Bonds are the only thing down for the day. So let's jump first, as we always do, on the weekly chart into the S&P 500. We had that weekly vertical crossover we were hesitant with at the end of the week, and for good reason with all this volatility. So far this week, and I'm just moving the weekly vertical crossover to the side so that we can look and see how far down the wick went on the prior week. That's how low things dropped. We have not hit that mark yet, as we have passed now 3 days into a 5-day week. Price percent oscillator was stronger yesterday. It's weakened some, with the S&P 500 being up 4.20% after being down about that amount yesterday. We see that the derivative oscillator is continuing to gain downward momentum. That's our leading indicator. Our lagging indicator's losing some energy. And again, we still have a red down candle. We have a wick, but we aren't plumbing the depths we were the prior week. That's important to pay attention to. Look at the 2-day chart. Now again, the prior 2-day candle representing Friday and Monday was a red down candle, heading down quite strongly. 6 days of strong down movement being represented there on these 3 candles. Now, they weren't all down days, but that's what we see with the candles. What we see now with this latest is a green open box spinning top, which means indecision tending up. Derivative oscillator still gaining downward momentum. That price percent oscillator has weakened. It weakened on the 2nd, and then again on the 4th. It's still heading down. It's not flat, so we will pay attention to that. Remember, the overall temper of the market with the weekly chart and the 2-day chart is still decidedly down. Let's look at this 4-hour chart. Look at what happened throughout the course of the day. Up in the morning. Now again, the market, according to the 4-hour chart, bottomed out actually back on the morning of the 28th, Friday the 28th. Then slowed down some in the afternoon on Friday, and that was our warning sign there. We talked about that. And then up on Monday, up Tuesday morning, down Tuesday afternoon, and then up Wednesday morning, and more so in the afternoon. The derivative oscillator leading indicator gaining momentum, price percent oscillator crossed over going up. Now that's just the 4-hour chart, and check it out. We haven't reached a higher high than we did back on Tuesday, but we do see that 4-hour chart heading up. Again, the bigger charts are the more important charts, the 2-day and even more importantly, the weekly. But again, that 4-hour chart will continue to pay attention to that and see what we can see there. We're also going to go ahead and draw ourselves a new 2-day trend line. We didn't have the ability to have one until now. Why? Because we now have two 2-day candles heading down, so we can draw it. So we're going to go ahead and place that in there. This is what I love so much about TC2000 and freestockcharts.com. In fact, if any of you guys are going to the training in Charlotte, North Carolina this Friday and Saturday, I will be there. So those of you who subscribe and are in the area have already planned to do so, look me up. I'll be in the trainings with you. So now let's go to, that's what's up on the S&P 500. And you know what I just did? I did that wrong. I did that on the weekly. I need to do that on the 2-day. There we go. Now we have pretty much very close to 3 candles, which is good. And we're just blowing through that, which is, again, something important to watch. So we're going to go back to the weekly, and we're going to go to the Qs, the Nasdaq 100 up just about as much as the S&P 500, up 4.17%. And what do we see here? Well, again, it is as far as the weekly chart goes, we see a solid green, which means a much bigger slowdown in the down movement on the Qs. You can see the angle it had been heading really paired that off. Derivative oscillator still gaining downward momentum, but that price percent oscillator really flattening on us. Not flat yet, still heading down, but that green candle. Now, if there's a big down day on Thursday and Friday, you can expect that to go back to red. We go to the 2-day chart. What do we see there? We see on the 2-day chart a bigger green spinning top up, so indecision tending up. Price percent oscillator, again, still flattening. Derivative oscillator heading down. And we go to the 4-hour chart, and of course we see it crossed over going up in the morning. And has it hit a higher high? The high was 218.33. The prior high, 219.61. So no, it has not, but it has blown through the 2-day trend line. So again, we'll keep our eye on things, see how this sorts out. The nice thing about both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100, now that we have a 4-hour crossover going up, it gives us a potential trigger for a crossover going down if that does occur, if the 2-day and the weekly are still in confirmed down moves. See what I'm saying there? So if the 4-hour, when it crosses back over going down, it can be a nice trigger for you, particularly if that occurs in the morning. Or at the close of the day, if it happens, say, on a Friday. Remember, we get the weekend effect that works for us, which is what we saw happen over the course of this last week when on Friday we saw a move up on the chart. So we'll continue to keep our eye on things, see where all this is going. Now we're going to move back to the weekly and head to 20-year bonds down 1.06%. We have reached a higher high this week. We do have a green candle going up that's forming. Price percent oscillator heading up. Derivative oscillator heading up. Go to the 2-day chart. Still going up at about the same angle, reaching a higher high. The candlestick itself just a little bit bigger. And we go to that 4-hour chart. And of course, this is where you see the bleed off, where things topped on Tuesday afternoon, slowed down on Wednesday morning, and then down on Wednesday afternoon. And look at that price percent oscillator flipping over to the, derivative oscillator flipping over to the negative. Price percent oscillator hasn't crossed over yet. So keep your eye if you have a bounce off tomorrow. Those of you who are looking to potentially find a point to weigh in on TLT, if you haven't been in since things crossed over going up back on the 18th, then this might give you an opportunity to do just that. So again, keep your eye on things. If you've been in since the 18th, the morning of the 18th, then of course, if you see this crossover again, continue all the charts all the time, see a penetration of your 2-day trend line, along with a crossover going down on the 4-hour. Maybe you take your profits at that point. If the 2-day and the weekly are still strong, maybe you let it ride. Those are the nuances that you learn by practice trading. Now, we're going to go to gold. What do we see happening in gold? Our last chart for the day. We see the price percent oscillator heading up. Derivative oscillator peaked all the way back on the 31st of January. Still losing momentum. What do we see so far for the week? A red open box spinning top. Indecision tending down, really slowing quite a bit. So, but the price percent oscillator, our main indicator, still going up. Keep all those things in mind. What do we see with the latest 2-day candle? Again, another green spinning top. Indecision tending up. Now, indecision tending down on the weekly. So what's that telling us on both these? Lots of indecision as far as the candlesticks go. Now, the price percent oscillator is moving away from the red signal line barely on the 2-day, and the derivative oscillator's already gone negative. So gold is quite shaky at this point in regards to those. What did we have happen at the end of the day? Of course, the Tuesday, the prior day, we had nice strong up movements in gold. Gold up just a little bit, 0.18% for the day. Up in the morning and pairing back in the afternoon. That momentum did cause the price percent oscillator to go positive. Weekly, still weak, but positive. Derivative oscillator did not flip over. For those of you who looked at that as an opportunity to jump into an up move on gold, I'll be interested to know all the reasons for doing that and how that works out for you. Folks, that's where we are as we end the day on Wednesday in this very perilous, up and down, wacky, weird, high volatility week. We will continue to watch, chart these things, figure out what's going on, and learn. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.